We are starting spring like a nice little slow bloom, just slowly edging. That's how I'm feeling to start this season. Happy Aries season. Aries is in my 7th house. 7th house to me focuses on relationships, relationship from higher self and your ego, relationship with yourself and others, also the awareness of others. Think of this as how you project yourself within connections as well. Significant illuminations during this time was the Libra worm moon. There was a first house highlight where my identity, self-expression, my body, presentation in general, all of that had got a cute spotlight with the Aries energy overall season. I like to pay attention towards the significant full moon within the sun sign zodiac season. It also shows how the sun sign of whatever our ego is going through is coinciding with our inner world, and how we genuinely communicate with ourselves, connect with ourselves, and thus how we connect and communicate with others. The Libra and Aries axis between the two is really fun because they are on opposite sides. You know, Aries is self and Libras is others. Fun to watch. Within the 7th house Aries archetype, a highlight I wrote, successful relationships for me include energies of pioneering, fiery, ambitious, and competitive. I like to not compete as in one-upping each other in things. It's more of just genuinely challenging our own selves to do better in whatever our main focuses are. Another Aries 7th house note I wrote, bold and centered independence within interdependence. How did that play out for me? These are the notes I wrote for the Aries archetype in itself. I like to try to embody the zodiac specific archetype within that month and then within where it is in my house. So I feel extra empowered, so there's more focused energies, and also it's a fun experiment for me to learn more about all the astrology types, because why the fuck not? Seeing how this played out for my last year observation and then comparing my notes of winters, amazed, amused. I'm gonna keep doing this because I love the fact that, okay, now I set the tone for what happened for my first layer of base, and now I can keep comparing year after year after that, and I just love data. That's why I love data. As per the Aries archetype, what I learned in this season along with my 7th house focus, this is what happened. I stated my needs and desires during triggers and vulnerable moments. Nothing was held back during this time. I embodied energies I desire in connections. That pioneering, big, passionate energy, I'm giving that to myself. I'm giving that to myself so I can call it in, so I can attract it, because I love that for me. Truly, I love giving it to me too. Overcome self-doubt with self-assurance. No room for old limitations. Letting go of connections through forgiveness towards them and then myself. There was a few people I actually forgave. Every time a sad or angry memory would come up, I would instantly know it was time to forgive that person and that situation and just that whole energy in general. When I would say something to forgive that person for, I would also forgive myself for something in that moment to hold accountability for my role in that situation. It's very freeing, shows me what I don't want to do anymore and how I don't want to show up in connections anymore. Very, very adamant on visions and goals. No more settling where I don't feel good and stagnated. There was a huge awareness, and I really want to say finale, of codependent connections and hyper independency within myself. I tried a new spiritual group within this season, got to discern what wasn't for me, which was a lack of personal engagement. What I did enjoy from this new group experience was the fact that I got to learn so much of more spiritual things through storytelling, through people being open with their experiences and the new guides, their perspectives. I got to learn and I'm really grateful for what I did learn during that time. Huge thing I took accountability for within this season was realizing how much I was expecting reciprocity. I noticed I was overgiving in a few situations to a few connections in this season, and I started becoming resentful. That was me not standing or placing boundaries at that time. By the end of Aries season, I was very clear on not expecting anyone to be things for me because I am that way, and practice acceptance a lot. I found silver linings and or love to my triggers. I'd get so triggered from negative projections from others, dirty common spaces, feeling misunderstood and rejected. I'd get so triggered about these 4 things. I wrote it down. I was like, okay, what are the main triggers? I wanted to be aware of what was really getting at me, not have any of my old triggers affect me anymore. It was helpful. Most of the time for these silver linings, whenever I would get triggered, I remember Emotional Alchemy. There were 3 songs I wrote just from being triggered. It made me smile right after. I was angry in one moment and then I thought of writing a song and I just flipped the whole thing around and then I felt good. I felt good. While I was at the park one day, I came to an epiphany that I was holding an emotional block of shame for expressing freely. I'm so used to only having my emotions accepted when I'm really, really happy or if I'm really triggered. Those were the only times my emotions felt seen. Anything in between that didn't feel validated or recognized or seen or safe. Through learning catharsis, allowing myself to feel, transmute emotions that I'm still having a new time exploring and letting myself feel again. Through this process, especially during my writing, I uncovered a comfort zone of distractions, specifically distracting my heart from feeling. There's a lot of things that I could pour myself into, but I feel like if I'm not learning something or having it be productive in a certain way, like the flow was hard. Like, for example, when I would scrapbook or if I'm crocheting, it's hard for me to just listen to music. I want to listen to something I can learn from instead of just letting myself enjoy the crochet. Like, of course that sounds good and productive, it really does, but I'm learning how to not be so distracted. For me, I kind of find that a little bit distracting from the creation itself because I'm just like, okay, I can kind of put this on autopilot, crocheting a little bit. I can focus on something I'm learning instead. I don't know, maybe I'm just so used to also like multitasking and trying to do too much things at once. I don't know. Still like discovering what my brain likes to do, capacity, all that jazz. Why do you think so? You don't look autistic. Oh, you don't look like you have ADHD. Me knowing damn well what my experience is, I'm like, can people stop negating what my experience is because you think I look normal? This time at the park held so much epiphanies, and I think it just had to go with the transits and the day it was because everything aligned for me to be extra emotional and get into my feelings. In a TikTok, there was a message within one of the tarot readings that said, what does your inner child want out of love? That hit a chord for me because the next thing she said after was, not your jaded version, your inner child. When she said that, it made me realize how much I was still holding on to my jaded version in my view of relationships. Like I want to be in a relationship, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, I'm scared to go through this again. I'm kind of worried that my effort is not going to go anywhere. I'm scared to get disappointed. Like, there was just so many things that came up when she related back to what does your inner child want. That snapped it so much into reality for me. Instantly, I heard, I want someone to have fun with me. I want someone to play with me. That is something so sweet for me. That is something I've always ever wanted since I was little. It always seemed like people wanted me to play with them. People wanted me to do things for them, with them, that it never felt like people wanted to play with me. Someone wanted to enjoy me, get to know me, like how I want to have fun. Not like, oh, what is something we could do mutually together? Like that would be great as well, but I'm just saying, like, I never felt like I had spotlight in a relationship. Everyone had been good friends, which is great. Now when I see it from a higher aspect, that was very much companionship. Which is okay. That was something I needed at the time. I know for a relationship, I need the focus to be on me too, because I know how giving I am. I know how much I pour into someone else, and I know how much I can be involved in someone else's life. Now I need to see that someone would do that for me. It'd be really nice. My higher self and ego feel more balanced. It really shows through how I am with others. Now I know there's room for both. Understanding and open to the external while owning my individual shine. Imagine you're sitting in a circle and people are talking, and I'm genuinely giving the spotlight to the person that's talking. I'm engaging with them, asking them questions, and making them feel like I am hearing them. Yet I still hold my own opinions, I still hold my own energy, I still carry me. That's how I'm gonna show up everywhere. Noticing how much caffeine was a vice for me. A couple sips, and then wanting weed to calm down from the overstimulation, and then feeling like this lethargy from just the sugar. A weird cycle that I knew wasn't serving me anymore. In that moment, I realized I don't need to overstimulate myself or even cause stimulation to perform or do. I can seriously relax and just listen to my body. And there's movement. I really wouldn't mind some caffeine. It's the fact that I have caffeine and then I'm just sitting in a cafe. My body reacts to, you know, the stimulation really, really quick. My legs start jittering, my hands start shaking too much for me to write. My brain can't even focus on like one thing. It's hard for me to even be in the cafe, to even do work when I have caffeine in me. It's so hard to focus. I'm noticing that pattern. I just know it's not serving me. I'm easing it to just having matcha if I want any caffeine, because I feel the craving. I really do. It's like it's a habit I'm trying to shake off. So matcha is my happy medium. Really grateful for this Aries season. It's been initial fire that I definitely want to start natural calendar year with. I'm grateful to own so much of me more. I'm grateful to be very assertive in my boundaries and very assertive in what I want and what I don't want about it now. More assertive in the spaces I'm trying to show up in. When people ask me what my story is about, I want to give a great summary instead of just being because I stutter so much when people ask me what things are about. I know what things are about, but as soon as you ask me to relate to you, I'm like, if you have any Aries placements, let me know below. If you just like have a random fact, if you have a random question, I love engaging. I love learning through other people's experiences and lenses through astrology as well. What do you think about these Aries pointers? Let's get this springtime going. Taurus season. Calm. It almost felt like May just flew by. Taurus is in my 8th house. 8th house rules inheritance, shared resources, transformation of the shadow, inner values, resources, and resources shared. When it says house, I think it does mean in a physical sense. It'll be a projection of your inner world, so it'll be a focus of the external. Significant illumination during this time was the Scorpio pink moon. It felt very special because I got my period that same day, right after I did a fire release. Scorpio for me is in the 2nd house, so there was a quick shine highlight towards possessions, self-worth, the flow. Just quick side note, remember y'all, self-worth does correlate with your money. Notes that I wrote: Taurus in their 8th house, stubborn determination during transition of materials, and ultimately learning how to be flexible in that. Not saying Tauruses aren't, but they don't have a strength in flexibility. Learning how to hold that flexibility while these materials change will be essential. If you're holding on to something, how are you going to let something new in? I also wrote strategic with possessions and earthly resources. Like when you do have your possessions, you know how to take care of them. It's just how to be balanced. These are the notes I wrote for Tauruses. If you're a Taurus or have any Taurus placements, if any of these relate or resonate, please let me know. Or if you have your own notes of Taurus energies, also drop them down below. What happened with me within this season was confident in what I know and continue to learn regarding esoteric knowledge and healing. I own power more in my communication with others and myself. Ultimately, let's be for real. A significant shadow that was going through a rebirth was prideful anger. This was actually shown a lot in my everyday when expectations weren't met, and this even came down to, like, to be honest, like if my phone sometimes didn't do something fast enough, the moment that I like wanted to do something or something where there was just like a urgency that I created in my mind, when that wasn't met, because you know things take time, have like a annoyance about it, like fuck, actually did project outwards into other things. It was a hard pill to swallow. It was being shown in my face every day how I react to this, but ultimately this is how I feel in general when my expectations aren't met. I have a little bit of like about it. I don't want to have expectations in what I do and people and stuff like that. I don't want to carry expectations. So to hold that, knowing that I get a little bit prideful when things don't go my way, I'm like, ooh, awareness. Got to see an elevation of my validation. This projected in seeing me for who I am in rooms that don't know me. It's seeing me for who I know I am, even if people are trying to put like their projections on me or who they want me to be in their story on me. I used to really get shadowed by that. I used to want to be like, okay, this is how people see me, that's fine. I'll just be like that. Now I'm like, no, that's not how I am. I really used to stop projects or stop putting in effort into things because nothing was validated. Nothing I ever put any effort towards ever was celebrated, acknowledged, even just reflected on, like, okay, cool. Like, it was just nothing. There was no acknowledgement. Now I'm in this new season where I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing and constantly validate myself through it all, despite how many times I do want to stop because I don't see the external validation that I wish I had, that I wanted. I finally learned to be like, girl, it's okay. You love doing this. You feel good doing these things. Just focus on what makes you feel good. Ever since I've been saying that out loud, focus on what makes you feel good, it's been helping me a lot. For someone who had a program of telling herself to stop feeling, go towards what feels good, it is a challenge for me sometimes. It truly is. I can't change anyone's minds or anything, but it used to be a thing where I'd get triggered by people's perceptions of thinking my life was so easy just because of how I look, what I could be benefiting with right now. And that just always sparked a thing with me where I'm like, let me show you my pain, let me show you my story, but I'm just not about that anymore. I'm not about that life anymore. I don't know, it's a weird balance. Like, I am owning who I am in rooms, yet I'm not trying to prove myself. It almost comes down to exact situation on where I would go. If I'm in a space where they're not as loud and they're not as bubbly and they're not as like my high energy, if they're not like that, I don't care to even like talk more about myself. If I'm in rooms where they're high energy and they want to get to know me and they're like in my face, like, who are you? Like, let me get to know you as a friend. Like, I've had that recently, and that has made me want to step up and be like, fuck, this is who I am. When I'm in these quiet rooms, it makes me be like, I could just observe. Taking in these big, explosive, innovative ideas from Aries, I'm bringing it down to a practical routine with the Taurus energy. Focusing on the step-by-step processing, compound effect works. In this, I've made a thing called dedication rotation, where for an hour at a time, I will focus on one thing. So I have, as also in a rotation, story writing, studying, YouTube. So YouTube is either editing a video or writing a draft of an upcoming video. I have a set routine that I do every morning. I don't have to do it every morning, but it's just something, if I'm gonna spend the day inside, it helps me ground. Usually after that, I would be all like, oh, I have so much I wanna do, but I have so many ideas, I have so many projects, and then I would just be so overwhelmed, I'd just start crocheting and watch TikToks until bedtime. Structured my mind to make it a little bit more disciplined, to be like, no, when I feel myself have that moment where I could do something, not out of pressure, but you know, for me, I don't like to rest I can't rest all day. I can't just lay there all day. It's impossible. Moments I could probably lay down for like 2 hours. After that 2 hours, I know I would be able to do something, but now I have more structured idea. So with this dedication rotation, that helps. I'm learning how to balance rest in between this, because I actually just had a burnout about this 2 days ago. To be honest, I went fucking overboard in that dedication rotation thing. I tried to fit it in more than just that free time hour. Like, I was like, I'm gonna do one dedication rotation before I do my rising ritual. I'm gonna do one in between. I'm gonna do one after. And it was just like, what the fuck? Like, I just took it from 0 to 1,000. Hurt myself out really, really hard. So I'm learning how to actually do dedication rotation on the free time. And when I feel like lethargic, I will fight when I feel lethargic. And I think it's because I get scared to be called lazy and perceived lazy. Learning how to just, if I feel like I don't want to do anything, I'm just gonna let myself not do anything, because I know I'm gonna do something within like 3 hours. Just fucking wanna just potato? I'm a potato. Relationship epiphany about being emotionally unavailable to myself, which is what evidently sets the tone for other people to be that way towards me as well. I've been programmed for as long as I can remember to not feel anything from anyone growing up. I kind of expected my connections to just, yeah, they're connections and not really have an emotional connection about it. Yet now, it's something I desire so deeply. Like, I want to initially connect on an emotional level, and how I actually differentiate that now is through excitement. How are you meeting for the first time and we're already laughing about what freaking animals look like? Like, that is so deep and pure to me. I'd rather have that than connecting on what we do for work. I hate when people ask me that as like an intro. It actually irks me, because then I already feel like you're trying to judge me based on how much I make. Sucks. So I'd rather have excitement. What even led to the whole emotional unavailability thing to myself was my accident. Truly, up until this point where I was like, holy shit. First, I am not paying attention to how I feel, to how I actually feel. So used to people downplaying how I feel. I downplay it so much, and it's just punch through the glass. Punch through the glass, and I'm all alone. Okay, I have to validate how I feel. I'm in pain. And not just physical pain, I'm in pain. Literally up until fucking yesterday, for me to realize, like, holy shit, I need to validate my emotions every time I feel them. Validating your emotions will create you to feel more clarity and expansion after. That person might not believe you. Sure, they might not feel what you're feeling. And you've heard this many times from many people. But what if you told yourself, no, you're right to feel that way. You're able to be like, should I have felt like that extreme about it? Should I have felt more about it? Like, you're able to ask yourself more about these things when you validate yourself. The only one who actually will and can. Sure, other people can validate your emotions for you when you're going through it, but is that actually going to make you feel good at the end of the day, or is that going to feel like a quick fix? What led up to this accident in general was I learned growing up since young that for me to stop feeling things emotionally, like, I had to feel something another way, which was physically most of the time, because I didn't know mentally and emotionally apart back then when I was younger. Snowing outside, and snowing in Calgary gets really cold. I would just go outside and stay outside. Or punch things, I would throw things, I've tried, but I was too coward about it, if I'm being fucking honest. Did it a little bit and it like made me feel weird, because I was just like, I wanted to like intentionally feel it, but at the same time I didn't want to see it. During this month, the emotional validation in my cocoon has been very nice. I did a cute abundance spell with Freya, lemons and herbs, and then I gave it to a beautiful tree that I found in my favorite park in Idlewild. Feels fun, and I'm not gonna go more into that. You know. It's been a huge transformation of my mental with the studying discipline in itself, because studying, for me, I'm not gonna be getting a certificate or accolade. Personally, I'm studying Theravada Buddhism out of strict curiosity. There's a call, a residency I feel when I think of my roots, when I think of my ancestry, and it ties me to learning more about Theravada Buddhism. Laos practices still. It feels expansive. For someone who said so long how much I hated school, it's so nice to see me study. I actually want to just learn what I want to learn. I want to expand my thoughts on what I want to expand my thoughts on, and then just branch off from that. Explore my curiosity through my mind. But all these questions I'm so curious about, I finally am putting that to something specific. Fucking genius again. When I was young, I felt really smart. I went to 2 different elementary schools, but in both of them I did really well in. And I know it's elementary, but it's preface. In elementary, being invited to like a writers convention when I was 10 years old, I felt smart as hell. In junior high, we would do awards for grades, and I would see my face on the screen. It felt so fucking good. I felt so smart. But in junior high, it started becoming more competitive mentally, and honestly, I didn't even have discipline or encouragement at home to even try hard in junior high, and then definitely not even give a fuck in high school, because it was just lack of motivation. It was just constant lack of support. Saw my potential just dwindle at one point. All the things I saw myself want to achieve, like I really saw myself as someone who's gonna finish high school with high 90s. Like I wanted to be that person. After constant burnt out teachers and neglect at home and just really not caring about myself soon enough, except because I started drinking in high school and junior high. Numb the pain. That's kind of a sad core memory I didn't even think I was holding on to. Watching my light bulb go off. It's so sad because I really enjoyed learning, enjoyed doing well, and I enjoyed doing many things. I realized having any kind of support towards anything would have been really nice. It just felt like nobody cared about anything. I can't say nobody because my grandparents really did care. It's just we had such a language barrier. They didn't really know what I was doing. We just kind of just dealt with the broken English we could do, and I tried my best saying what I was doing, and they tried their best listening. At the end of the day, I eventually stopped trying to tell them anything too, because I just started giving up on myself on a lot of things. That was even to communicating to my grandparents. I just felt like if I told the truth about what was happening when I wasn't with them, things would get worse for me. But when I was with them, it was very at the same time suffocating, because my grandma didn't let me do anything on my own. My grandpa didn't mind. He had more trust in me, which I think helped balance out their dynamic. To avoid hearing it, just stop doing stuff she didn't want me to do. I think I'm noticing more why I feel so like a walking contradiction. I'm feeling that so heavily this month. I'm realizing my roots were divided in two. I grew up in many homes, and I'm not saying adoption wise, gratefully. I had my dad's house, I had my paternal grandparents' house, my maternal grandparents' house, and that it was constant. Their 3 houses was something to expect to rotate between every week, every month for years. Each place provided a different environment for me. I'm also studying and learning art history with Julian de Medeiros. Nice reflections on pieces. Former psychologist, now animist, Kat Houghton. She brings about like a Celtic kind of pantheon feel, yet it's with her own life experiences also that I'm learning from in a more shamanic way. We spoke and I'm holding firm boundaries with my roommates here. Also recently learned I hold my tongue a lot because I'm scared other people are gonna get in trouble. I'm scared that if I speak up, things are gonna get worse for me, like I've said, and I felt the same about here as well. To the point where things were becoming tension-filled, negative. At first I was feeding it by saying like, oh, it's so negative, oh, it's so negative. So I was allowing it to affect me. Just straight up acceptance. I've observed how things have been here for months. I'm not saying I know who they are, but I've observed how things are for a month. It's routine. I can't expect them to be different just because I want them to be different. This is their dynamic their whole life. I'm new. I can't expect people to change for me. Yeah, I really don't want that. Change on your own, please. I truly enjoyed my silence and alone time so much more. Get it when Tauruses just want to frickin' be in their most comfiest just all day. I do get it. I wish I could do all day, but no, I don't. I don't wish I actually can do that all day. Like, it'd be nice to do it for more than 2 hours. Sometimes I'm like, okay, what's the point? We're gonna sleep anyways. Come on. I'm overcoming my fear of connections by truly trying to communicate more. I've rebranded my Discord to cater to my interests because I genuinely don't want to, tell me about you. No, I'm trying to find people who actually like what I like. So I created a Discord with multiple channels of multiple pantheons because I am studying multiple pantheons. And I also have a channel about accountability buddies, a bowl of sunshine, words of affirmation. I do request everyone introduces themselves upon joining. Have joined, known me from my last work of sex work, and it's just, I'm not trying to make a group chat to talk to creepy people. See me as a person instead of you're hot. It makes me feel annoyed because I'm like, I'm talking and all you're saying is you're hot? Fuck off. Anyways, I'm learning how to also temper in my attitude about this and try to be. Sometimes some boys will test my patience. To conclude this Taurus season, how I accidentally went a little bit longer than I wanted to, but there was a lot that I just feel like I felt. No more suppressed emotion. Everything is vocalized, felt, acknowledged, and validated. It's turned into catharsis. I just gotta trust that my emotions, I'm allowed to feel them because it will do something. And not to say in a producing way, but I used to tell myself there's no point in feeling. I've told myself that for years. I shut my emotions off before. I lived that life and it fucked me up because I'm not that kind of person. Just shut off their emotions. Like, I'm so emotional. Fuck off. Thank you for listening to my Taurus blurb. Thank you for watching this part. Let's get it. Get a Taurus. Get a Taurus. Both. Get a Taurus. Get Taurus.